The M23 rebels have seized one of the largest city in east of Congo. Goma, I think is called, and we need to discuss
Goma.
that this afternoon. Is
Yeah.
Mustafa Kinodi. Mustafa, you're welcome to the show.
Yeah, these rebels M23. This dates back to I think March 23rd or 2000. I think it dates back to about 2013 when this conflict really started, where you would have Congolese of Tutsi origin who rebelled and tried to fight to take that region. Also with Rwanda. So this is on the border. Rwanda is closely bordering this, and this is in the part which is rich in the northern part of the country. Goma is in the northern part of the country, which is rich
Yeah.
in resources and mining resources. But most of this conflict is ethnic, and it involves the Tutsis and maybe fighting with some of the forces in Congo. And it goes back to Rwanda blaming Congo partially for the conflict in Rwanda, saying that they backed during that conflict. So it's a very big problem, and it points to the problem that we have in Congo and a lot of African countries, in which you have different ethnic groups, and one of the ethnic groups sort of rebels and is not want to be part of the country because it's closer to the other part. You have it in Nigeria with Boko Haram on the northern border. You had it in Ukraine where the Russian-speaking individuals were in conflict with the Ukrainian speaking within the country. So what I'm saying is that it seems like Congo is a divided country, divided into about two or three parts, with a lot of warlords and a lot of chaos, compounded by the problem that it has these resources, which I think is the cause of the conflict. And a lot of this conflict is backed by money that we have to track. Chinese are involved, Americans are involved. A lot of people are involved because of the resources that Congo has. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I quite agree with you. I think the right word is chaos, like you rightly mentioned. The situation is
Hmm.
deeply unsettling for both the Rwandans and the Congolese, and it evokes some
Yeah.
painful memories of past conflicts. Now, if you look at it, it's a very delicate situation because, on one hand, the Rwandans feel that defending, because Rwanda is led by a Tutsi president, they feel that
Yeah.
defending themselves against Hutu aggression, which they feel
Hmm.
there are still some pockets of Hutu aggression in Congo. But on the other hand, the international community is accusing Rwanda of using the M23 as a proxy to illegally mine resources from Congo, which is also one angle that makes this thing very, very complicated and is
Sorry,
just.
can you repeat that? So you said Congo is accusing.
I said the
Can you
international community is accusing
repeat
Rwanda.
that? I missed it a little bit. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I said the international
Who's blaming
community.
who? So they're saying that.
They are blaming
Oh yeah.
Rwanda of using the M23 rebels as a proxy to
Oh yeah.
mine
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
illegal cobalt, coltan, tin, and gold from Rwanda, and then get it to some of the Western and European countries and even China. So they feel
Yeah.
that
But these are the same. But you see the
Rwanda is
irony. These are the
complicit.
same. But you're saying the international community. It's the same international community that's condemning Kagame and Rwanda for this, but they're the ones that he's actually working for. Do you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely. That's why I say it's a
So
very
there, this is
delicate
so to
situation.
me, it's lip service. So sorry to
Yes,
get in
it's
front of
very,
you because you just said an
yes, sure,
important point.
sure,
All
sure.
these countries now, when South Africa says that this must stop, I believe them because they don't have anything to gain from this. But when you see countries like France and America, and then America's Rubio, America's Secretary of State, calling and saying we must do something about it, to me it's lip service because Rwanda's military and economic power is deeply supported by the U.S. and by
Absolutely.
the
Of
West
course,
in
you're
general.
right about
And it
that.
goes back to like what was going on between Israel. If you wanted to stop, then cut their funding, or if you really wanted to stop, send soldiers in there and shoot. Now, what they've done is they've sent some African countries, SADC countries, to do peacekeeping. And I think we were saying before, peacekeeping does nothing because you have two sides that are fighting each other. You're not going to aggress against either. You say, "Oh, we're going to step in and try to protect," but there's no such thing as peacekeeping. The only thing that makes sense is that you choose which side you're going to back. Either you're going to back the rebels or you're going to back Congo. If you're going to back Congo, send in troops there and squash the rebels. But if they do that, that's going to be an act of war against Rwanda. So what they're doing is they're sending in African soldiers there to fight to stop some small skirmishes, and they're getting killed. I think up to now, 13 South African soldiers have been killed. What are your thoughts?
Yes, I agree with you. And I think Rwanda should come out straight and say to what extent they are backing the M23 because an army is an army, a group of rebels are rebels. If
Yeah.
you're going to be using rebels to defend yourself against Hutu aggression, then it doesn't make sense. I think a kind of African force can go in, like you rightly mentioned, and just take sides, fight against the rebels, and let there be peace. Because there's no
Yeah,
peacekeeping in this kind of conflict. There can be no peacekeeping.
yeah, and he's not denying that these
No,
guys
he's
are
not
that
denying.
Rwanda.
He's saying that they're
Yeah,
doing
he's
it.
not affirming it, but here's the thing: reports from most reliable sources is whether or not these M23 rebels are funded by Rwanda. Rwanda is giving them military assistance, backing up,
Of
and
course, they're
everything.
giving
Also,
them
yeah.
arms. They're giving them arms.
And it's even to the point that maybe there are some Rwandan soldiers who are crossing the border and part of the aggression, working along with M23. And this has not been substantiated, but we do know that logistically and arms wise, they're being funded by Rwanda. And my argument, once again, if they're being funded by Rwanda, let's chase the money. Rwanda's economy is kept stable by the West. They're giving a lot of money. So, like you said, maybe we need armed conflict, but I would say we need a diplomatic thing. What needs to be done is that there needs to be sanctions put on Rwanda to stop this. And I know it sounds very bad to say that the West should put sanctions on an African country because the way they use sanctions is wrong. Because but what we need to do is African nations need to come together and put sanctions on Rwanda for this
I,
to
I, agree-
protect Congo. Because it's clear to me that Congo has become the gold basket for the world. It has lost too many people over hundreds of years, and this conflict has lingered too long, and it's being exploited. So, and on top of that, we have to ask ourselves the problem as to why do we need the UN to help us mediate our situations that happen on our continent. So, but this points to the problem that no African nation, not even South Africa, is sovereign. Nigeria is not sovereign because we're still looking to the West. This UN peacekeeping mission is a Western-led function. They call it the UN a world organization, but let's face it, it's Western, and it may be China and Russia also. So part of the problem is Congo itself does not have a sovereign and powerful military, and there's no easy answers because Congo doesn't control its resources. So I'm not blaming Congo, but until we as African states control our resources and have strong militaries which can protect our countries, these types of problems will continue. And so to me, this is a regional ethnic conflict at the border. I'm not saying Rwanda is right or Congo is right because there's a lot of things that went on during the war in Rwanda, but this type of situation is keeping Congo destabilized, undermining the government, and making it impossible for it to control its resources. What are your thoughts?
I agree with you because I mean,
Yeah.
Congo, they have all these resources, and because of that, they are the victims now. But if you look at Rwanda too, I feel Rwanda, the problem that was created in 1994 by the genocide has not quite died down. Otherwise, there'll be no reason for still protecting yourself against Hutus. If everything has settled and Rwanda was
Well, is it
Rwanda,
Hutus or is it Congolese? They
no,
also believe. So yeah, so there are Hutus in Congo too, right? Yeah. But we have to remember these tribal names, they're actually made up. There's this Tutsi versus Hutu distinction. This was another distinction made by the West. But I think what we can say is that there is ethnic conflict on that border involving
yes,
um, involving groups who are founded in Rwanda and in groups at the border. So there's a lot of mix, sort of like what's going on in Nigeria with where we border Niger. When you get to those
yeah,
borders, there are different ethnic groups, and you don't know who is aligned to who. And a lot of the times, people on the outlying borders, like of Congo, will not be aligned to the part of the Congo which um, has the interests which lie in places like Kinshasa, which is the capital. They'll be like, "Oh,
yeah.
I don't know anything about those
I
people."
feel I feel Rwanda is just using this as an excuse, this Tutsi Hutu thing as an excuse to illegally mine from Congo.
Well,
You
yeah,
know,
it's mining, and also they want to take that land back. The borders in that area, like where Rwanda and Congo
yes,
exist,
yes,
are,
occupation.
are partially chaotic and
They want
undefined.
to occupy
So
that place.
more land because they have people at the edges of those borders who also need land. So they want to take back more land for their citizens because you have people that need to be fed. This is just like what's going on with Palestine and Israel. Israel keeps on encroaching and sending in more settlers. So what I'm saying is that maybe part of it is Rwanda wants to encroach and take more of Congo. But at the end of the day, it boils down to what you said. It's about benefiting off of Congo's mineral wealth.
Exactly, exactly.
That's
And
it. Yeah.
Africa as a unit is not as strong as the days of ECOMOG when they coalesced and fought against the regime in Liberia. Nowadays, everybody is just basically minding their own business, but they need to do something
Or, or,
very
or
quickly. Otherwise,
yeah.
the conflict
Yeah.
can spread to the neighboring countries. humanitarian
Oh yeah.
issues there now has led to people
Hmm.
crossing the border into Uganda and some neighboring countries.
And
So they need to act
they're
fast.
what you call it, helping the Congo government. There were some Romanian mercenaries arrested. So you can see this
Wow.
thing is a big chaos. Mercenaries coming from all over the world, and we all know that all of this is just for weapons manufacturers and
Of
mining
course.
manufacturing
Of course.
companies in the
And
West
mining
to make money.
manufacturing
They make money
companies.
both sides. They also make money off of the sale of arms and also sending African troops. South African troops have died in Congo. And I'm
Yes,
saying
yes.
you're a peacekeeper troop and you're getting killed. That means that
Of
you're
course, they
in
were
live
killed.
combat
They
with
were
other
killed. A lot
Africans.
of them were
That
killed.
doesn't sound the way. That's not a peacemaking. It's not a peacekeeping mission anymore. It's they're in there in the middle of chaos and bloody violence, and meanwhile, manufacturing companies that manufacture weapons and also the mining industries are benefiting off of this. So
Of course.
and what you were saying, African countries are ignoring their neighboring. They're not making any policies to help their brothers on the
Yes.
other side of the border. But they're listening. But they're listening to the West when the West has put sanctions or send troops for UN peacekeeping. So it
Yes.
seems like African countries do act against each other, but not from sovereignty and from their own interests, but at the behest of the West. Now, South Africa would say it's part of the UN, so it doesn't mind giving soldiers. But no, the South African government and South African people should be asking themselves, do we really want to enter this conflict and shed blood and have our blood shed? And um, we don't have enough information about the conflict and what our objectives are and how it's going to benefit South Africa, Africa, and Congo. What are your thoughts? Yeah.
Yes, I agree with you. And the longer it goes, the wider and more destructive the conflict will become. And this was how they ignored genocide in 1994. And they basically made it look like it was a civil war, when in actual fact, a particular tribe was methodically and systematically trying to clear out the other tribe. Now, if there's no
Yeah.
intervention and it becomes a bigger conflict, it's going to spiral into something that may not be controlled. That's just what I feel.
Yeah.
They need
And
to
if it
act
keeps
fast.
on, yeah. And if it keeps on, it's going to undermine the sovereignty of Congo, which I already
It
think
will. And that's the most
Congo's
important
sovereignty
thing.
is very weak already. They don't really
Their
have any
sovereignty
sovereignty.
and their territorial integrity has been
Yeah.
compromised.
Yeah, and it's already been really bad, but it's just getting worse with this conflict. It's just going to get worse and worse. So basically, the president is basically what they call a sitting duck. You know,
Yes, it's a
he
sitting
doesn't
duck.
really
But
have much power.
I hear
The military
Ruto,
doesn't
the
have
Kenyan
power. Yeah,
president, has called for a meeting. I think he's the head of the East African presidents. He has called for a meeting of all the East African presidents within 48 hours to see how they can address the situation.
yeah,
Because if you,
but see, part of the
okay,
problem is that Kenya and Rwanda are both, they
they're
both
allies.
have yeah, the allies, and they have an antagonistic stance towards Congo, and
Congo,
this is
yes,
serious because Congo is the mineral. Congo is the mother of the whole world when it comes to minerals,
yes. In
and
fact,
and
in terms of gold, I think that the highest
yeah,
deposit
go.
for
And
gold,
then they've got
yes,
other things like what you need for batteries, cobalt, and everything. And
yes, coltan.
Congo should be as rich and have as good infrastructure as you see in Europe or South Africa or other places, but they're not benefiting off of the world. Partly because it's not a unified country. I'll go back to the example of Nigeria with the Hausa and the Igbo. So Congo itself is probably it's probably three different countries in one. So when you have that type of fragmentation, you can't stand unified and be a sovereign country. And so what will
Yes,
happen is and what Rwanda would love to do in Kenya is to continue carving out land that's no longer part of Congo. So maybe even that part, Goma, maybe they don't even want that to be part of Congo. You understand
yes,
what I'm
I
saying?
agree with you.
And
The
yeah,
ethnic fragmentation has weakened their power as a
yeah,
nation
yeah.
and is
And
affecting
and
them.
this ethnic problem and nationalism is also weakening the stability of Africa. So Africa needs to be stable. Then it needs to have sovereign countries within it, and they need to work together. So I think what we do need, like you said, is if Kenya and Rwanda say they want to have meet and resolve this situation, you want to resolve a situation that you're also fanning, especially Rwanda. You're helping the
Exactly,
M23.
exactly. They're
So
fanning it.
how can you negotiate with Congo and say that this is a peacekeeping or this is to solve the problem? What needs to happen is once again South Africa, Nigeria, Egypt, Chad, Mali, all these countries should be there and solve this problem. But we don't have that because all parts of Africa are ideologically opposed to each other now. Nigeria,
One
South
person
Africa
I
has problems.
feel, one person I feel can call Rwanda to order is Donald Trump.
Oh yeah, but
But
and
I,
but the thing is that yeah, and what he would have to do then is to say, if you don't do it, we cut your funding. Simple. But I
Exactly.
don't think Trump would do that because I don't think he cares about Congo. But let me not say that. Let's wait and see what
See
happens
what
over the next few days.
happens.
I do believe that the
Exactly.
West, because Rubio has called um, Kigali. That's his name. No, what's the name of the president of Rwanda? Paul Kagame. Kagame. I
Kagame,
said
Paul
Kigali.
Kagame,
I
yes.
said Kigali. Kigali is a city.
Kigali is
So
the
if he's called
capital.
it,
Kigali is the
but so
capital.
so what I would argue that if the U.S. and China and these countries now get involved, it's going to be because if Congo becomes too unstable, even they can't make money off of its resources. You get my point.
And a lot of these
So
guys
that's the
are
only.
corrupt. Kagame too is corrupt and compromised.
Yeah,
Ever since the
yeah.
genocide, he's been president of Rwanda. There's been no change in power.
No, no, and he's a puppet of the West, you know. But on TV, he puts this image as anti-West, like, oh, you can't tell, not anti-West, but sovereign. You can't tell me what to do. I believe I only
Yes.
represent.
It is because of
He says I only
America's
represent Rwanda.
support. It's because of America's support
Oh
that
yeah,
is
yeah,
confident.
but he's been framed by the media as being a Rwandan nationalist who's even defiant to the West. But to me, that's just theatrics to make it look like
Of
they're not
course.
manipulating him.
Of
They're
course.
they're
Of course.
manipulating him. They've
Of
given him a
course.
lot of
He's
money,
being
and they even came
manipulated.
up with the
He's a
idea. They
puppet
came
of
up
the
with the idea
West.
that
He's a puppet of the
and
West.
he almost bought into this thing that Britain said that they could be sending black refugees to Rwanda and Rwanda will keep them. And Kagame said, "Oh yeah, we'll do it." So he still works for the imperial forces, as far as I'm concerned. Any last thoughts?
Yeah, basically, this thing has really become very, very dire. In fact, I heard that there was a major jailbreak that led to about 4,000 inmates being released. And so people can't come out of their houses. They're scared. So
Oh,
for
people
the
are getting
sake of,
killed.
yeah, for the sake of the Congolese, and I think they need to act fast in the
Robbery, rape,
interest
everything is
of,
on the rise.
yes, in the interest of the populace of Congo, that has to, maybe the United Nations, I don't know if African Union cannot do anything. Someone has to do something fast. Hospitals are
Yeah,
getting filled up and people are getting killed. And it will get to a stage that the crisis will not be able, they won't be able to manage the crisis anymore. You know, if I would
yeah.
imagine that a country like Congo, if they were profiting off their resources, they should have one of the best and the biggest military in Africa. But they've been exploited over the years.
They
They're not
they
enjoying
don't
what they
control
have
their resources
naturally.
at all.
They're not.
And this is sad. People think that we always talk about China and Russia that they like Africa, that they help in BRICS. But even in Nigeria, anywhere in the world you go, you'll find illegal miners from China
Sure,
also. So
sure.
so the thing I'm saying is that we're doing business with BRICS with China, but we also have to remember that they're not our family, so they're not looking out
Mm.
for our best interest. They're just doing
No, they're
trade with
not.
us, but they will
They're
also
not.
exploit us the same way
Of course.
because
I
you're
even heard
finding a
that
lot of
this cobalt thing is China that mines it the most from Congo.
Oh yeah,
It's,
yeah. So you have to watch out for China too, and this goes back to the fact that at some point we have to go back to the model that we had from Lumumba. We control our own resources, and we take no counsel from the West. We take no counsel from Russia, no counsel from China. But before that happens, there needs to be African unity because one African state by itself cannot do it. There needs to
oh,
be
sure.
African unity.
Sure. There
This
has to
must
be
help.
unity.
South Americans are
There has to be
unified.
unity.
Europeans are unified. Asians are partly unified. We need to find that type of unity. So that's where I'll end for today. What are your thoughts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, I agree with you. Unity is very important.
Yeah.
Liberia,
Unity and vision.
Liberia,
And yeah.
the crisis in Liberia at that time could have destabilized the whole of West Africa. But because of the concept of ECOMOG, it was quashed immediately. Africa doesn't have that kind of unity anymore. And that is why I
Yeah.
think this is a big challenge for Africa.
Yeah, it's a big challenge for the world. So on that, we're going to pray for Congo and say, because Congo really is the mother of the world and the mother of
They
Africa.
are,
It's,
they are,
it's yeah,
in terms
even
of
even
resources.
yeah, and none of that migration. Yoruba people, even people in South Africa, a lot of people started in Congo or that also that Rwanda part, and then they migrated south, migrated west. So, and when you listen to music, what they've given the world rhythmically, and they've given a lot of culture, but all of that is dying out. And it all started when the Belgians started to raid Congo, probably, I don't know, maybe in the 1800s or 1700s. And since then, the Congo Empire has been diminishing. So this is a serious problem. Take us out, Falabi. Yeah.
Okay, it's been a wonderful show. We love our continent, Africa. From Mustafa and myself, it's bye for now.
Okay, yeah, I'll text you later. I don't think we'll do any other shows today, but I'll send you the